Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jay. So I uploaded a video the other day about kind of my thoughts and some research that I did on our food system, and I made several hard points in that video and kind of tried to open the eyes of whoever watched it to some of the big problems that we have in our food system today. That video was hard and emotional for several people, and emotional for me. And then at the end, I said that my solution to the problem is to shop locally as often as you can, and to, do a lot of your own cooking and baking, make a lot of the products, any of them from the grocery store that you can yourself at home. And I stand by that. Those are two really great solutions to the problems that we talked about. However, I want to make sure, and I said that in this video as well, I really want to be a resource for you guys. And there are going to be situations and circumstances where that's just not possible all the time. And I want to make sure that you are able to implement organic in your diet whenever you can. So I did hours and hours of research trying to come up with companies that I feel I can endorse on my channel. And when I say endorse, I mean I can recommend them to you based on what I learned through my research. I am in no way an authority figure on this. I have no affiliation with these companies. And I'm actually going to be really honest with you. I got halfway through filming this earlier today and had to stop because I was getting really worked up. This has been very difficult for me because our options are so limited. And it is so difficult to figure out the truth. And the fact that it's taking myself as a moderately intelligent, normal American citizen to get down to the nitty-gritty truth, the fact that it was this hard and this anxiety-inducing. I mean, guys, I was sick to my stomach earlier. I had to lay down in the bed because I was just sick after doing all of this research. And I just think that's a shame, an absolute shame. So I'm here to give you some companies that I feel like I would shop from. I would consume products from. By the way, it's snowing aggressively here right now. So if you're hearing that hit my window, that's what that is. Also, I'm sorry, I look rough. I honestly just want to get this filmed and put it behind me because I don't want to think about this for a little while. But I want to start by saying that I really, really, really recommend shopping with Azure Standard. After doing the research that I've done, I have yet to find a place where you can purchase so many organic products, because I'm only going to go over a few here. We're going to touch on just a few, but Azure Standard covers so many different categories of products that you can get organically through them. So if you have never shopped with Azure, let this be the nudge to finally do it, because after researching this as extensively as I have, it's a great avenue to take for this. If you want to know why you should care about this and why you should be eating organically, because that's not really what we're talking about in this video, I'm going to link my first video down in the description. You don't need to have watched it to watch this one, but I think that you'll care a lot more after watching that one. So please check it out. But I want to start with flour and sugar, and then I go from there into butter and milk, because I find that, what did I tell you in that video? I said you should be making as many of these things yourself as you can. And that's great, that's wonderful. I stand behind that. However, you have to source those whole ingredients first to even be able to do that. And remember that wheat and sugar are two of the top 5 GMO commodity crops being produced in the US. So sugar, to start with, is in a lot of what is on my channel for you for recipes. And if you're sourcing it through a company that's using GMO pesticides and herbicides, you've already lost. Just stop right there. So I wanted to find some companies for you. So I'm going to start with flour. Again, Azure has a wonderful organic non-bleached flour. And they have numerous organic flours, bread flour, all-purpose flour, pastry flour. However, King Arthur is another great company to shop with for flour, for organic flour. They have an organic line, so keep in mind that not all of their products are organic. However, their website did say that all of their products are not bleached, so that's good at least. But shop the organic line, and I actually have already been using King Arthur organic flour, and I like it a lot. It's normal, it holds up fine, there's no issues with it. So I would recommend King Arthur along with Azure for your flour. For sugar, again, Azure has great organic non-bleached sugar. The other company that I found, and there was a lot to sift through for this one, a lot. It took me a long time. I ended up settling on Sugar in the Raw. I really liked, mind you, not all of Sugar in the Raw's products are organic. You have to shop their organic line. So I recommend for just average baking and cooking to use Sugar in the Raw Organic White. And then I've already given you the videos you need to make your own brown sugar and your own powdered sugar using your base organic white sugar. So I recommend Sugar in the Raw. I liked this company, this product, because one thing that I looked for specifically when I was doing this research was transparency. If a company was not doing everything that somebody would want or expect, I liked it when they kind of said that and explained why, because that tells me, okay, they're not trying to hide anything. They're not, hiding behind buzzwords and pretty pictures. They're really wanting us to understand their process, and I appreciate that as a consumer. So I liked Sugar in the Raw because they said, under the section for processing where they talked about how they process their sugar, they said, listen, in order for us to be USDA certified organic, the USDA requires a certain level of processing. We cannot sell raw, unprocessed, unrefined sugar. Like, it's just not a thing. And so in order for us to remain USDA certified organic, which we want, we have to process up to, the regulations set by the USDA. And so they said, we do that. However, it's still processed less than refined white sugar, and it's still not bleached. So they're not ultra processing their sugars, and they're not bleaching them, and they're producing them organically. So to me, that's a win. If I can't grow my own sugar cane, then I suppose Sugar in the Raw is a company that I would feel comfortable purchasing from, along with Azure. So those are my two recommendations for flour and sugar. Moving on to milk, yogurt, cheese, butter, etc. dairy products. I had two that I ended up finding that I really liked. I went with Organic Valley, and I did a lot of research on this. And I liked it because they had a lot of information. Their website was laden with information, and they talked about it. So this is what I brought up to give you guys, because I could talk about this all day, but this is what I'm going to give you. They had a comment question, kind of blog style, on their website, and there was this one question that says, is all grass-fed dairy organic? And they said no. All dairy farms feed their cows grasses or hay, so you may see the term grass-fed on some non-organic milk cartons, but most non-organic milk you see in the supermarket is produced through confinement dairy operations, where the majority of the cow's diet is made up of grains, usually GMO grains, and where the cows are rarely on pasture at all. But when you choose Organic Valley, you can trust that you are buying organic and grass-fed. Everything our cows eat is USDA certified organic. Our cows meet all the USDA organic standards for time spent on pasture and the amount of their diet derived from pasturing. It never comes treated. The milk is never treated with antibiotics or growth hormones. The cows, And then anytime that you see a product labeled certified grass-fed organic dairy, then that means that that company has a certifier who comes and confirms that all of those requirements are being met. So do you kind of understand the layers that we have to, the layers of manipulation and deceit that we have to peel back to get to the truth? So let's break this down. If you see the word organic on anything, that doesn't mean anything. If it just says organic, that does not mean anything. If it says USDA certified organic, that's different. That means that the USDA is aware of this company, they regulate this company, there are a set of strict guidelines that this company are using, there's somebody who's auditing them to make sure that they're meeting those guidelines, and people can use the word organic. Companies are allowed to put organic and not meet a strict set of guidelines. But if they say USDA certified organic, that's a whole different ballgame. And then you've got the phrase grass-fed. If something simply says grass-fed, that does not mean anything. That means at some point in that cow's life, it ate a little bit of grass. It doesn't tell you anything about where that grass, how that grass was raised, if there was any pesticides involved, how often that cow's eating grass. Did that cow eat that grass outside, or did it eat grass confined in the confinement area? It doesn't mean anything. But now you're saying that this is saying that if something is labeled certified grass-fed organic dairy, that's not only confirming that the grass the cows are eating is indeed organic, but it's also saying that there's a person who is auditing this farm and making sure that these cows are having a certain number of hours on pasture, which I also discovered is 100. If you want to be under the certification, the cows have to spend 120 to 200 days on pasture minimum. 120 to 200, and I think the reason that there's a range there is because of climates. Some climates it's easier to have cows out on pasture, and some it's not, in terms of them actually grazing. So there's layers. You gotta peel back these layers to even find the truth and figure out what that means. Like, what do these words even mean? So that kind of goes back a little bit to the first video with me giving you these terms and these buzzwords and what they mean. But I didn't really want to talk too much about that in this video, but I have to, for you to understand why I chose these companies and why I legitimately think these companies are doing a good job. Also, Organic Valley is a co-op, which means that they actually buy their milk from a lot of different farms. All of those farms follow those same guidelines and are audited in the same ways, but all of those farms have small herds. I looked at some of them. I didn't spend too much time on it because I had so much to do. Some had 50 cows, some had 72 cows. I never really saw any of them have over 100 cows. I researched these companies. I didn't just look at their websites. I also, once I kind of like preliminarily thought, okay, I like this company, I Googled them specifically to see if I could find any lawsuits or any big news articles about them. There was one from Organic Valley in 2003 where they got busted buying milk from still an organic farm in Texas, but it was an organic farm with 7,200 cows, and they were just barely meeting the requirements. And the reason it was so controversial and people were so upset was because you've got these small family-owned operations of 50 cows, 72 cows, etc., stringently following these guidelines to try and stay in this co-op. It's difficult to even be eligible to be in this co-op, but to stay in it and to always pass your audits and to always be doing a good job and staying on your toes. These family farms are trying so hard to meet these regulations, and you've got this giant money-making operation in Texas who is just doing scrape and buy barely, and they're buying the milk cheaply from them. So everybody was really upset about that. They stopped buying it from them. They said they were sorry. It was 2003. And then the other thing I saw was there was a lawsuit filed against Organic Valley because they were taking the calves away from their mothers. Friends, that's a common farming practice. They were saying it's inhumane. Well, it is inhumane because they're not humans. Cows don't have the same emotional processing that humans do. It's not the same as traumatically taking a baby human away from her human mother. That's not how that works. in farming, and when you're dealing with cows, you can do something called calf sharing, where you milk once a day and then the calf drinks off of the mother, or you can wean them really early on and you can do all of the milking. That's totally up to the farmer, and the reason that they often choose to wean is because they get a higher cream content in their milk when the calf isn't taking any of it for themselves. So the cows are still fine, the calves are still fine, everybody's fine. It's totally the farmer's choice whether or not they do that. Some do and some don't. Some YouTubers that I follow do and some YouTubers that I follow don't. It's personal preference. So that was really more of a PETA thing. And when I read it, I was like, this doesn't count. This isn't a reason not to buy from this company. So that was actually the only thing I found on any of these companies. They were all fine from what I could tell. Again, do your own research if you want to. If you don't trust my word, then please do your own research and understand that this is the research that I did in my house on my personal computer. So, like I said, I'm not an authority on any of this, but I'm trying to give you guys some guidance. So that's fine, Organic Valley. And then I also found Stonyfield Organics, and I really liked them too. It's very similar reasons. They also had a whole section where they talked about antibiotics and hormones. They delved into why you shouldn't give your cows antibiotics. And when they say that, they don't mean that they're not treating sick cows. They specifically say that they do, and then anytime that they have to treat a cow who is sick, it's because a vet told them to, and they pull that cow from the program. So the cows are still being treated, they're just no longer eligible to be in the milking program, and they get removed. And then they also inform people that a lot of the large-scale dairy operations just go ahead and treat everybody with antibiotics, whether they're sick or not, and that's bad because not only are we all drinking that, but it's also creating superbugs that are resistant to the antibiotics that these cows are being given for no reason. And they're doing it because these operations who have 7,200 cows don't have time to go through and check the livelihood and the well-being of all of these cows, so they just widespread give them all antibiotics. So I liked that this company, Stonyfield Organic, went through and said, listen, this is why you shouldn't, and we don't. So I liked that. I also like this company because they produce baby and kid products as well. And I didn't try to find any other companies who do, but I'm glad that somebody is because, as you heard from my last video, that's one of my huge concerns is children and what they're eating and drinking. So next I researched meat, and this is where I almost gave up. Mind you, like I said, this has been very difficult for me to research. It's made me literally sick to my stomach. I've wanted to give up so many times, but I'm pushing through so that I can give you guys this information. I almost gave up here at the meat. I didn't start here. I should have. It was hard. Anytime I thought I found a company, I would research them specifically and it would all fall apart. The meat world really, like I said earlier with layers, that's even worse with meat. It's layer after layer, company hid by company, hid by company. You find what you think is this small family-owned farm just to find out that they're owned by this bigger company and that company's owned by this bigger company and this bigger company does these inhumane practices and unethical practices, and just the whole thing was making my head spin. So I ended up finding 2 companies that I liked. One of them is Azure Standard. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way first. I already told you that I love Azure and that I think you should shop with them. However, they have a brand of meat called Hardgrass. Because remember that Azure sources their products from all over the place, a bunch of different companies. So they get this particular type of beef from a company called Hardgrass Beef. And I liked Hardgrass Beef because it says right here, Hardgrass Beef is grass-fed, free-range, no antibiotics, no administered hormones, no grain, no pesticides, no herbicides. So it talks about where they are raised, how they're raised, they're not fed grain. It goes really into detail with all of this, and I like that. I like that a lot. However, the problem with this is 1 pound of this ground beef on Azure's website is $21.62. 10 pounds, because you can buy it in 1 pound increments or 10 pound increments. For 10 pounds of this, it's $177.50. I'm not saying that the product's not worth that. Please, I always encourage people. I've said this to my friends on Instagram. Charge what you think your product is worth. You created it. You ask for what you think it's worth. Not saying that at all. I cannot afford $21.62 a pound. I can't. It's just not reasonable for me. So I have a hard time encouraging you guys to pay that. I want you guys to eat well, whatever that looks like for you, but this is just a hard sell for me. So moving on from this, I did also find Organic Prairie. Organic Prairie is also owned by Organic Valley. So they do their dairy and they do their meat. They have them as separate entities, but they share the same goals. So I really liked Organic Prairie, and I did research them extensively. I didn't just say, oh, they're owned by Organic Valley. Great, must be perfect, right? I did research them separately. And I'll read this to you. It says, the whole natural food space can be a little confusing, so let us break it down for you. Many products that claim to be natural contain GMOs and artificial ingredients. When it comes to grass-fed meat, if it's not organic, the grass being fed to animals is often treated with toxic pesticides. If personal health, environment, and sustainable futures are things you care about, look for a USDA organic seal. Organic Prairie's USDA organic certified meat is raised with no GMOs, antibiotics, added hormones, or feed treated with harsh pesticides. Their feed is free of rendered animal byproducts. This is gross, and I had a conversation with somebody about this after my last video. GMOs, sewer sludge, and irradiation is prohibited from production with Organic Prairie through the USDA organic certification. So let me rephrase that for you. If you are purchasing meat that is not USDA certified organic, they're likely being fed GMOs, and they are using sewer sludge to fertilize the grass that the cows are eating. And somebody said that in the comments, that they learned that the fields that the cows are eating from are being fertilized with human waste. And let me just make sure that you understand that what the cows eat, we eat. That's factual. That is not a lie. What they're eating, we're eating. So the fact that they even have to say that they're not fertilizing their fields with sewer sludge blows my mind. And that means others are. That's crazy. Anyway, so I like Organic Prairie. They sound reasonable. The only thing that I never did figure out, they're online. I never did figure out if these products are found in stores or if they're just online. Actually, let me look that up. Okay, so Organic Prairie is at least found in Walmart. I'm not going to look all the stores up, but it's at least found in a store, so that's good. However, I do want to say, before we move on from the meat, that my number one recommendation to you in terms of buying meat organically would be to find somebody local, even somebody within 3 hours of you, who's organically producing meat, and buy it from them. You can buy quarter cows, half cows. You could ask a bunch of your friends and family members if they want to go in, and you could do a whole cow. It's very expensive up front, but it breaks down to a very affordable price per pound, much cheaper than Azure for sure, and sometimes even cheaper than what you're finding in the stores because of the big markup that the stores make. And it's worth it to have the organic meat for yourself and your family doing it that way. In fact, it's something that we're going to be doing soon, myself, and I think we're going to probably team up with my parents and do that so that we can also have organic meat, because it's too hard. You can't go to the store and pick up the organic option and trust that it's actually organic. It's not an option. And from what I found through my research, it's probably not true. So I recommend find somebody local and buy it straight directly from the source. It's going to be cheaper and it's going to be a lot healthier for you too. So moving on. Lastly, I want to talk about convenience items. I wanted to make sure that I broke down a lot of things to their, whole ingredient so that you can make things yourself. But I do also want to throw some convenience items in there because it's just not realistic to make everything yourself. You can't spend that much time in the kitchen. I can't anyway, making every small thing you consume. So I do want you to know that there are some companies that I researched heavily and really liked. The first one is Annie's. You guys are probably familiar. They sell mac and cheese, and they've got the little bunny as their logo. I liked this company because they were very upfront about their labeling and what it means. So let me first make sure that you're aware that Annie's has two lines, a certified organic and a made with organic line. If something is 100% organic, if it says it's 100% organic, then all the content in that product is organic. If it says certified organic, then at least 95% of the content in that product is organic. Not all of it, 95% of it. If it is made with organic, if your packaging says made with organic, then at least 70% of the content in that product is organic. 70%. And this is all on their website. I'm getting this information from them. They're literally copying and pasting USDA's guidelines, like what they need to follow to be able to put this labeling on their products. I think that that's very transparent, and I like that a lot. This particular, and I'm going to have all kinds of links down in the description, so please check it out if you're interested. But I like this because it literally, Annie's says, more or less, I'm going to paraphrase, that they've got two lines of product, certified organic, made with organic. And they say that if we have consumers who are not able or willing, verbatim, to pay premium prices for our certified organic products. So it says we want to provide options for both. And I think that's amazing. They're basically saying, listen, we know that there's a population of people who just cannot afford to eat organic. It's expensive to produce organic. It's expensive to follow all these guidelines. It's expensive from beginning to end. The product is expensive. We know not everyone can afford it, but we know that there's a population of people who are trying to make better choices. So we have our made with organic line. It's cheaper because not everything's organic, but it's still a better choice for a population of people who are trying to do better. And I could not ask for more from a company. I think that is fabulous. The last thing from Annie's is that as somebody who tries to eat organic as much as I can, I don't like it when things look very synthetic because it's not appealing to me. If it looks fake, I don't want it, you know? And for me, that's always true with that super bright orange cheese dust that you get in the packages of macaroni and cheese. But I like it because they're actually pointing out, hey, just so you guys know, we don't use artificial colors in our products. That orange color is actually used from annatto seeds. Annatto seeds come from a tree and they produce an orange dye, and it's used to color foods such as cheese, butter, and mustards. Cultures have been using it for oils and pastes and for its flavor and coloring on meat, fish, and rice for a long time. So I think that's wonderful. I'm really glad that they're saying, you know, we do use natural dyes. It also talks about purple carrots and beets for some natural dyes. I think that's wonderful. So Annie's, to me, gets a win, and I will purchase those items. Keep an eye out for certified organic versus made with organic and make that choice for yourself and your family. The very last company that I want to talk to you about, this is not an exhaustive list. These are just the two that I really liked before I got tired of doing research and stopped. Sorry, one more thing about Annie's actually. I do also like them because they are non-GMO. It says it on their website that they have a strict no GMO. It's part of their core values. They will not use any product that is GMO. So just letting you know about that. But the last one that I want to talk about is Amy's Kitchen. I really liked Amy's Kitchen because they were very honest about their non-organic ingredients. I'm going to read this to you. Our goal is to use as many organic ingredients as we can, and currently most of our vegetables, grains, and beans are organic. There are a few ingredients we use that aren't organic, either because they are not readily available in the quantities we need or because the cost is much too high. But we continue to work hard to have those last conventionally grown items sourced organically for us. And then it also goes into talking about organic, made with organic, certified organic, and the percentages that you need to hit to have those. So same reasoning that I liked Annie's. I like how transparent they are. They were really the only ones I found that were transparent with that. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate that they're saying, hey, we're trying to do better. The other reason I liked Amy's, they provide freezer pizzas, soups, burritos, and like freezer casseroles. I like them because they use a non-BPA lining in their cans. And that's important to me. We're actually going to talk about that in a separate video I'm working on for BPAs and toxins like that. So that's great. I really feel like this company is genuinely trying to protect their consumers, and they're really trying to do the best they can to put out healthy, organic, safe food items. So just to do a quick recap: for flour, King Arthur; for sugar in the raw; for dairy products, Organic Valley and Stonyfield Organics; for meat, Azure and Organic Prairie; Butcher Box as well; for convenience items, Annie's and Amy's Kitchen. Not an exhaustive list, but guys, I've been working on this. I think I'm probably up to about 10 hours of research on this at this point. I'm tired. I'm literally gonna go take another nap after this, after I eat some of my dehydrated apple chips, because I'm afraid to eat anything at this point. This has consumed me. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like there's a little bit of a dark cloud over me right now. Once you start to delve into this, it makes you sick. I'm like, I take anxiety medication, and even my anxiety medication is having a hard time keeping up with the emotions that the emotional roller coaster, let's say, that this has put me through. I'm glad that there are still people out there trying to do good, and they're really trying to produce safe food products for people, but they are the minority. And the fact that you have to peel back the layers, like I've been saying, to find even a sliver of truth is disgusting. That is sad. I don't even, look, I'm gonna get worked up again. This is what I was doing when I had to stop recording the last time. So we're gonna stop. We're not gonna get into it. I don't want to be emotional, but at this point, guys, I can't help it. That's part of the reason that I decided to put together this video, because I sat back after filming my last one and I said, well, what do we do now? What do we do now? I can't even walk into a grocery store at this point because I'm just questioning everything. Does that contain GMOs? Were those animals raised on pasture? If they were raised on pasture, has the pasture been sprayed? But I have this YouTube channel and I want to be very honest with you guys, very transparent with you guys. And when I made that video basically saying, hey, like, this is part of the reason why this channel exists, because you can't trust the food in the grocery stores anymore. So we need to start cultivating these skills so we can do it ourselves. Once I started researching the companies and realized how bad it was, I really felt obligated to come back and say, we need to talk about this more. I have follow-up statements to make. So that's kind of what this was, as well as trying to provide you with some honest, reputable resources, companies that you can shop from and feel somewhat safe doing so. So check out those links in the description if you want to see any of these sources or do any of this research for yourself. And I encourage you to do some research for yourself, but it's also kind of why I'm doing it, so you don't have to, because this is sickening. It's gonna make you sick. It's gonna make you stressed out and anxious, and I don't want it to scare you into not trying. I don't want you to say, it's too much, I can't even think about it, I'm not even gonna try. I don't want that for you. So that's why I'm taking the time to put this out, so that you can say, all right, well, at least I can start here. You know, if you do ever decide to do your own research, that's great. but maybe pick one thing and take a break before tackling anything else, because I did this by category, and by the third category, I was way over it. So anyway, you guys, stay tuned. I am going to continue tackling this. Jess from Roots and Refuge Farm just put out a video talking about her homestead appliances, and in that video, she touched on the non-stick cookware and how harmful that is for you. I love cast iron and I use cast iron a lot, but I have not completely given up non-stick. So I think that's probably going to be my next project that I tackle and speak on this channel. So stay tuned for that, and also just stay tuned because I've got a lot of recipes planned as well. And I'm going to continue teaching you guys how to make your own food from scratch and how to preserve things and grow things as well coming up. I've already got garden plants coming. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. And I'll see you in my next video. Be blessed, my friends. Bye.